because as long as people believe that life is suffering, we cannot evolve to the next level. But if we discover within ourselves, yes, I can live in bliss, of course, then that can spread. And I've seen through my own lived experience a whole community living in that state. So I ask that question to leaders everywhere, thought leaders, politicians, everybody who's involved in culture, society. Why do we not have an education system based on human happiness?
Today's episode is a very special one. For the first time on Crear Transforma, we're having this conversation in English because some voices don't just cross borders, they ask us to expand the language we used to listen to them. Our guests join us from Bali, a place where spirituality is not only a concept, but a lived experience. And her work speaks to something deeply universal: the body, intimacy, consciousness, and awakening. Today, we welcome Ananda Sarita, a woman who has dedicated more than 5 decades of her life to the path of Tantra, meditation, and spiritual inquiry. Since the early 1970s, Sarita has walked a profound inner journey, not as a theory, but as an embodied practice. Through her work as a healer and coach, she discovered that many of the emotional, mental, and even physical struggles we carry are rooted in unresolved sexuality and relationship wounds. And instead of bypassing the human experience, she chose to go directly into it. For Sarita, Tantra is not about escaping the body. It is more about awakening through it, a path that accepts that a human being exactly as they are and uses that truth as a doorway into expanded consciousness. She believes we're living in a time of global awakening, personal and planetary, and that Tantra offers a wise, grounded, and compassionate path for that awakening to unfold. Today, we will explore what spirituality avoids, what the body remembers, how sexual energy shapes power and culture, and what it means to embody the divine feminine, not only as an idea, but as a lived authority. This is a conversation about truth, boundaries, and the courage it takes to fully inhabit a human life. Sarita, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction.
My
Really
pleasure.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
You actually gave my whole discourse.
Mira. That's all the research that I did. So.
Yeah, very good.
Glad you like it. Sarita, to open this episode, I would like to start with a very important question about what's happening right now in the world. You talk a lot about a global awakening. What makes you believe this is real and is not just a narrative?
According to my experience and also research, Tantra becomes very relevant in a society where people have it all and yet they're not fulfilled. So then, of course, they start asking the question, what more? What more is possible in human life? Because there is an innate urge in every human being to find the greatest inner ecstasy possible, which is given by nature. It is actually our birthright to know inner ecstasy, to know our original template for bliss. So humans keep searching for this. And of course, if you start researching for yourself, automatically the question comes, if I can reach to this state in myself, what about others? What about society as a whole? Now, in the past, there have been cultures where people were living according to tantric principles, walking that path, the whole society walking that path, leading to an incredibly blissful culture. For example, at the time of the great master Saraha, he turned on the king to Tantra, the queen, the court, and finally the whole country that was in India. And it is said that in that country, people were walking as if the feet were not touching the ground. They were levitating because the state of bliss was so profound in the whole of the society. Now, I always ask, okay, if that was possible then, why not now? Why can't we reclaim this possibility in our human culture?
Totally. And That brings me to my next question. Can Tantra reorganize society and culture?
Yes, definitely, it can. Because as long as people believe that life is suffering, we cannot evolve to the next level. But if we discover within ourselves, yes, I can live in bliss, of course, then that can spread. And I've seen through my own lived experience a whole community living in that state. I was in the community of Osho for 26 years, so I experienced that firsthand. And also, I tried the experiment. Is it possible when I bring a group of people together, like for example, we do Tantra teacher training, people are together for 1 month and they are immersed into Tantra during that entire time. And I see that very easily and naturally people reclaim their birthright for bliss, for love, for empathy, cross-cultural well-being, because usually in any of my groups, we have about 20 different nationalities. Now, some of those are nationalities which normally you would think would be in conflict. Are they in conflict? No. They're in complete harmony, respect for each other, learning from each other. So if this is possible in a 1 month group, why isn't it possible on a vaster scale? It is. It's just about how do we organize our society? How are we choosing the pathway that we walk in that society?
Totally. And how we prioritize those values.
Yes.
Right? Because if you prioritize, I don't know, specific values about, let's say, love, boundaries, respect, responsibility, then eventually it doesn't matter your nationality, you can all get along. Right?
Yes, exactly.
But if you prioritize other things, then eventually you can start having conflicts with other people. No? So,
Yes, exactly.
how does sexual energy shape culture, politics, and economic systems?
So I'd like to first backtrack a little bit into education. Education is very important. There are preschools in Scandinavia that did an experiment of teaching children from the age of 4 massage. They found out that those children became more intelligent, better at scholastics, more harmonious with each other. There was no bullying, there was no conflicts between children. And of course, learning touch or conscious touch is one of the most important skills in life because it leads to happiness and well-being. And of course, if couples are able to touch each other rightly, they will feel more fulfilled. So this is just one aspect. Another aspect is meditation. Osho gave a very profound discourse about education for children. And he said that children should learn meditation from the youngest age possible. That will ensure that their central channel from sex to spirit remains open, so that when they reach puberty, all that hormonal energy which arises will naturally move in and up into higher consciousness states and inner ecstasy states. So if children are learning basic skills which will bring fulfillment and human happiness, of course, that's going to bring a very different set of values. As it is now, the education system is just using usually auditory and visual sense. It's not taking into consideration all the senses. However, there's been a study done about what is called accelerated learning, where if children are taught through the 5 senses, every child excels, because people naturally gravitate towards one sense or the other. Somebody's more visual, somebody more auditory, somebody is more into their olfactive or into their feeling sense. So if we address all the 5 senses, all the children find their pathway. And it was found that if you teach education in this way, the people learn 3 times as fast. So whatever they're learning goes into the deepest part of the brain very easily. Now, integrated into this system is also relaxation. So you learn intensively in the 5 senses, And then you go into deep relaxation using, for example, Baroque music. For at least 20 minutes, you have a rest. In that resting time, whatever you've been learning goes to the deeper part of the brain. Now imagine if our education system took this into account, or in certain Scandinavian countries also, they have the idea that education should be integrated fully with play. No homework, but rather bring play and bring the quality of the young people being able to do research, doing a project-based rather than memorization-based. So they literally learn to use their brain much more effectively.
Of course.
So all of these things are already known. They're already in the field. So why are they not being acted on? This is the question. We need to reorganize from the very base, which is, of course, education and the direction of education. One of the things I've heard most from my students is, if only I had known this when I was growing up, I could have saved myself so much suffering and misery. If only. So I asked that question to leaders everywhere, thought leaders, politicians, everybody who's involved in culture, society. Why do we not have an education system based on human happiness? This is so important. And that brings more intelligence to people because they feel fulfilled. So their creativity is sparked. They become more vibrant. And that can only lead to more happiness in the culture.
It makes perfect sense. And it reminds me a lot about this quote by Henry Ford that he said that he was not interested in a nation of thinkers, but in a nation of workers. No? And part of the education system, especially the memorized based educational system, is not actually encouraging critical thinking. It's not actually encouraging people to think, to discover, to play. You see it in any classroom, and it's like discipline. Everybody, young kids from 4, 5, 6 years old, like sit down, shh, do not move, shh, do not talk, shh, shh, listen to one person. He's the authority or she's the authority, no? And it's kind of like disconnecting them from their own essence and from their own connection.
Yes.
Hanging that power towards the teacher. Do you see any relation between cultural stagnation and when sexuality is repressed?
This is definite. So I can go into that subject. Just think of a bonsai tree. This is a kind of tree that's usually grown in China or Japan. They're very mad about this. So they take a tree which should become a huge, spreading, magnificent tree, and they systematically trim the roots as it's growing so it becomes a dwarf tree. So it looks like a full adult tree, but it's miniature. Now, this has been done to human beings through systematically trimming the roots of our life force energy, our sexual energy, and that makes dwarf human beings. Of course, physically they look normal, but their vital energy has been trimmed to the extent that people are not able to tap into their inner ecstasy potential. Because we have only one life force energy. Now that can go into sexuality, into creativity, into meditation. It can go in many different directions. If we trim those roots, we just cannot be as creative as we would like or as ecstatic as we would like. It's not possible. And this trimming of the roots happens usually through cultural conditioning, where we're taught from a young age, this area is taboo. You have to cut off from this area. That's essentially saying you have to cut off from your joy and from your life force. So that's an unhealthy direction, in my opinion. People need to learn to celebrate their life force energy, and that includes the sexual energy, of course.
If you analyze our society as it is right now, how would it look like if we would not be repressing sexuality?
I think we would have more joy. We would have dancing in the streets. We would have celebration. And we would also have increased intelligence and sensitivity on all levels. Yeah.
What do you think is why many people and cultures get really, really scared and afraid about sexual energy? What is misunderstood about that?
Because it's wild. It's connected to our instinctual energy, meaning our animal nature, because human beings, after all, are animals. So there's a kind of idea, if we let the sexuality be free, we will all turn into beasts, wild beasts of the jungle.
Uncontrollable.
Uncontrollable. It will be very, very terrible. But actually, the reverse is true. If you learn how to appreciate your sexual energy and then refine it, you go into exalted states of being. Because we have the capacity for orgasm not only in the genitals, but also in every chakra. And there is the orgasm center in the brain, which is connected also to DMT release, which brings very refined inner ecstasy states linked to profound higher consciousness. And so actually, if we make sexuality a form of study, like we really go deeply into the subject, automatically we will discover higher potential and even exalted spiritual states.
And also some authors talk about downloading information, no? When you arrive to these ecstatic states, that this kind of like straw you were mentioning at the beginning, you know, the kids that have this straw that it stays open, that connection from their body, from the sexual organs towards, you know, enlightenment, then eventually that gives us, some authors say, access to source code. No?
Yes, because actually God is reflected in the human body through our life force energy and our sexuality. This is how new life is being created. What could be more sacred than that? It's worthy of very in-depth study and taking that as a bridge to godliness, actually. And I think every couple senses that, yes, sex could be so sacred. We really want to experience that. What is that unity consciousness that happens through our intimacy? Is it possible to cultivate that? And yes, it is. And this has been the research done by Taoist Tantra, Indian Tantra. Huge research has gone into that down the centuries for thousands of years. And yet it all got repressed. It had to go underground. Now, of course, Tantra is experiencing a renaissance. There is a possibility that it gets taken in a wrong direction. So I think everybody's aware that many people think that Tantra is synonymous with sex, when actually Tantra is a methodology of bringing a witnessing, loving awareness to every facet of life, every aspect of human life experience. It includes sexuality, but it's not defined by only sexuality.
It's not exclusively.
It's not only about sex, it's about everything the human being is. This is the reality of Tantra.
And the connection to all life force. No?
To the life force, and through the life force, through the body, we can connect to our inherent divinity.
And Sarita, if there is so much study and research about the potential that sexuality has in culture, in our health, in our connection to divinity, in the connection in our relationships, why do you think that societies, religions, or different groups have repressed it? Was it something intentional, or was it something that was just a side effect of something else?
I think it was intentional. It's a method of control. Just imagine an ox. Now, if you remember that the ox used to be a bull. Bull is wild. Bull can't be controlled. You cut the balls of the bull, it becomes an ox. Then it will do your bidding. It will carry your burdens. It becomes docile. So if we repress sexuality, people become more docile. less wild, less unpredictable. And so societies have chosen that if we want to control people, we have to repress the sexuality. I believe it's something to do with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we have all this sexual energy. What are the ways that it could be contained in a responsible way, in an ethical way, not in a moral sense, but in, what makes, these universal values and that connection between human beings? How can we foster that through sexuality so we could have a responsible and healthy sexuality?
This is a really important question because the fact is we have two types of kundalini. One is downward moving kundalini, one is upward moving kundalini. The downward moving kundalini could tap into perversion. That's highly possible. Whereas the upward moving kundalini, it brings us into expanded spiritual consciousness. Now, the way to help upward kundalini is through meditation. So we need to combine sexual energy with meditation. That's the difference that makes all the difference. Our sexual exploration contained in a crucible of meditation will automatically take us on an inward, upward flow of kundalini energy. Whereas without meditation, it can very easily go into perversion. Yeah.
So, really, very, really interesting. And I want to ask you about, let's talk a little bit about erotism, no? And a little bit about the healthy limits of erotism. Why are limits such a misunderstood part of erotic power?
Sorry, repeat the last sentence.
Why are limits such a misunderstood part of erotic power?
I see. Limits, you mean?
Boundaries.
Boundaries,
Yeah.
yes. So what I've been experimenting with over many, many years is bringing the aspect of meditation into sexuality, meaning I invite couples to do what I call love appointments. So they will schedule a time, they're doing a particular method, which will enhance every aspect of their intimacy. And it will also lead the couple very wonderfully into higher consciousness states together, as well as expanded pleasure states. So applying method into the power of eroticism is really, really valuable. Now, some people might think that sounds weird because I like my sexuality to be very spontaneous. And it's good to combine, like do some research, do some practices, and also have some times where you're just having a more hedonistic expression. Gradually, that will bring everything into balance like that. So I'm all for bringing methods. That means spiritual sadhana, and you can also do sexual sadhana. And this will help to understand your sexuality, find a deeper fusion, and even experience expanded consciousness through your sexual energy. And in terms of boundaries, conscious communication is very important in the couple around sexuality. First of all, people need to understand their own eroticism because everybody is unique. So you need to find out what makes my kundalini rise, what activates me, what gives me pleasure. So for that, you need to do conscious self-pleasuring practice. That's for both men and women. Then be able to communicate that with your partner, to have honest, radical honesty type of communication, and to know what each other likes, needs, desires, then to experiment with that in a conscious way, and to find out how to bring each other to the greatest high your hormones can take you to. Yeah.
To that bliss. It reminds me a lot of this book. I don't know if you read it it's called The Creative Habits, about Twyla Tharp. She's a choreographer, and she talks about having the specific times to let your creativity and your pleasure run wild.
Yes.
And she sets this timing and she recommends it constantly, especially for creative people and people connected through pleasure, because then you have this specific containment, time scheduled to go and play or to feel hedonism or to do some more, pampering or to do some freestyle or whatever. No, it depends if you're dancing or whatnot. But it's really interesting because some people could be kind of like not wanted to go into that because it might feel methodical, but in the sense, it just gives you a methodology to have an open space to explore.
Yeah,
that.
I call it sacred space, sacred time. So in the couple, I invite couples, make sacred space, sacred time to explore your eroticism, your fusion together. Having quality time is so important. And usually people prioritize many things in their life, like, okay, I have an appointment for the hairdresser, I have an appointment to see my banker, I have another appointment for this, that, whatever it is. But I don't give any appointment for lovemaking. No, that's not right. Then you end up doing it at 11 o'clock at night when you're both exhausted and you wonder why your marriage is falling apart. Of course, because you didn't give quality time. Yeah.
If you would reorganize couples' schedules, how would you organize it?
I would organize that your quality time together in intimacy is a priority. And I'm not saying you have to schedule it every day in that way, but sit down together with a calendar and schedule quality time together, which could include lovemaking. It might include exchanging massage, or maybe it's a time when you want to have intimate conversations, but you need to make that quality time a priority in order to see the relationship blossom. Like, for example, it's well known that if couples have a shared interest, their marriage has a much better chance of surviving. Whether that's growing a garden together or, they have a passion for skiing, they go skiing together, whatever it is. But the same has to apply also to intimacy. You need shared quality time together to tend the garden of love. Yeah.
Can you see, with all the couples that you work with, can you see instantly the moment they enter your seminars or your workshops, which couples have sexual energy blocked and which couples have, that sexual energy connected?
We can see it through the dance, how people dance. There's a common problem in society, which I call LPS. It means locked pelvis syndrome, where because the sexual energy has been repressed as a cultural conditioning, then people tend not to move their hips. The hips are almost locked. And so they're not able to be fluid in the dance. That clearly shows they're not able to be fluid in lovemaking either. So part of the training is to loosen up the hips. And that's really achieved very well through dance. So I really encourage couples to learn dance methods, whatever they are. It doesn't matter. It could be zouk, it could be salsa, it could be tango, but learn something where your hips are moving, and that also bring clear roles to the masculine and the feminine, where the man can be in his mode of being like the provider and the woman can surrender. That will bring deeper fulfillment. And I'm not saying when you surrender, you're surrendering to the man as a persona. You are surrendering in general, which is a deep longing in the feminine. So for the man to be more in his power, the woman to be able to surrender, this brings a delicious alchemy, which brings empowerment to both, actually.
And how would you describe, metaphorically, if you need to describe what would happen during sexual alchemy?
Then that brings us to the subject of the tantric circle. There is a phenomena that is very delicate, which is that in the chakra system, there are circles possible between our positive polarity and receptive polarity, or between yin and yang. Everybody has yin and yang polarity within them. And also you can apply this yin and yang in the couple. So there is a circulation of energy which can be achieved through the breath, or it might be through visualization, but you're creating that circuit between the male and the female. Now, one way that this is very noticeable is when the lingam is inside the yoni. Lingam, by the way, is the Tantra term for the male genitals. It means pillar of light. Yoni is the term we use for the female genitals. It means sacred place. So when the lingam is inside the yoni, the tip of the lingam is touching the cervix, the entry of the cervix. There is a special circle created. If the couple is not moving, that means not thrusting, just having that energetic kiss. And normally the lingam is an outward moving polarity, so it's giving energy. Yoni is receiving. However, the tip of the lingam has a little slit, which is like a yoni. So that tip is able to receive energy, which is coming through the cervix, because the woman's second chakra, lower belly, is a positive polarity. So she's giving from the second chakra. So through the tip, through the cervix, she is giving energy, and the man is receiving through the tip of the lingam. Now that creates a circuit. It's a circle that starts spinning faster and faster till you don't know anymore who is the male, who is the female, and that leads to oneness. That state of oneness is incredibly ecstatic. Every couple can experience this just by following Tantra methodology. And once you experience that and you know that this circle is possible, you can expand that circle. You can make a circle of energy between sex and heart. Heart is also a positive polarity. In the feminine, she's giving love. She's giving nurturing, empathy, compassion. So she's giving from the heart. The man is receiving. He's giving from the sex. She's receiving. So you can make the circulation of energy, which again will spin faster and faster till you don't know anymore who is the male, who is the female, and you achieve unity, consciousness. You can also experience such a circle between sex and crown. Sahasrara, or crown chakra, is connected to universal energy, universal consciousness. So as you circulate between sex and crown, you attain to universal consciousness together. This is, of course, absolutely awesome. So this can be done by circular breathing, visualization, etc. Yeah.
And what happens, for example, with same-sex couples? How does that process work?
So as I said before, everybody has within them yin and yang energies. There's a natural circulation of these energies inside. So you can find that circulation inside of yourself and with another. Nature always works through polarity or contradictions every time. Night and day, summer, winter, sex and spirit, male and female, etc. So if you have a same gender couple, they will also follow these natural laws. One will be more in their yin, one will be more in their yang. If you take two homosexuals, they need to ask each other, are you top or bottom?
Yes.
That means, are you yin or yang? Very simple. So even among same-gender couples, they are also following these natural laws. So they can easily do Tantra together, just deciding, okay, I'm going to take the yin role, I'm taking the yang role. Very simple.
And do you recommend before lovemaking to do a meditation for both of them arriving in real presence?
Definitely. This is really good. And as I said before, you wouldn't do that every lovemaking. Otherwise, you feel you're constrained. Oh, I always have to be in a Tantra box. No, that doesn't work. We want to go out of the box. So having a dedicated series of practices, like a series of love appointments or meditations that you do together. And at the end of that series, you let go and you go into your natural flow, natural hedonistic way, whatever it is. Maybe you want to have sex on the kitchen table, enjoy. Or you want to have sex on every surface in the house, okay, enjoy that. And at another time, have a dedicated sadhana practice together, where you go into deep meditation together, and that can take many different forms. It could be as simple as exchanging a conscious touch massage, or it could be a very elaborate and complex tantric meditation or ritual. So it depends on which series you're choosing to do at which time. Yeah, it's amazing.
I read a book recently about Tom Kenyon, and he talks about some meditations from the Temple of Isis and the Alchemy of Horus. And it's about sexual energy. Is there a specific meditation, for example, that you recommend? Or it's any meditation?
Any meditation is better than nothing. So even if you're just sitting side by side and doing vipassana and then going into sexual union, this will already be mind-blowing.
It's better than nothing.
Yeah, it's wonderful. But there are other methods that are particularly for couples that involve very specific stages, like maybe you're doing eye gazing, soft dancing together. Maybe there's some touch involved, or you're aligning your chakras, or you're doing circular breathing. There's many, many different kinds of methodologies. Now, I've written 2 books, and in both of my books, there's many, many meditations. I've also produced online courses where people can follow and do different kinds of meditation practices as a couple. So there's so many different possibilities. Yeah.
Where can you tell us your webpage, please?
It's anandasarita.com.
Perfect. So people can look for those courses.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, for the last, I don't know, maybe 2 decades, people have felt more comfortable talking about trauma. No? Why do you think people are more comfortable talking about trauma and not that comfortable, or maybe I'm generalizing, but not that comfortable talking about pleasure? Why is pleasure, or maybe having these conversations, sometimes it makes other people feel uncomfortable? Why do you think is that? Is it something only culturally, or it also could mean it's something inside that maybe could be, you know, something blocking it, or something repressed, or
You know,
think it happens?
misery is accepted in our culture. So that means that people feel more comfortable talking about their miseries than about their ecstasies. Because our culture is not formulated around ecstasy, bliss, joy. It's just not. It's more formulated around duty, work, productivity. So this is a very left-brain rational approach to life. The education system doesn't really delve into our intuitive nature. In fact, it many times actively represses that, which is, of course, the female side of the brain. So this is, again, the whole thing about the repression of the feminine. There's a basic fear in the patriarchy of the feminine and all that it entails. Because, of course, if you start going into femininity, it's not so disciplined. It's Shakti. Shakti is wild, unpredictable. Shakti has emotional states, which are like weather. I always say that emotions are just like weather. We keep a dynamic balance in the outer environment through the weather patterns. Dynamic balance of the inner environment happens through emotions. Emotions are unpredictable. So therefore, we need to go into conscious emotional fluidity to be able to finally understand the feminine nature and to allow that also. I've had so many women comment to me that I don't really feel free to be fully myself with my husband or my partner, because if I really allow it, I go completely wild when I go into orgasm. And maybe it's too much for him. Maybe he can't handle that. So many women have told me that, not just one. And due to this and many other factors of Shakti and the feminine, I've done a huge research into this subject. I have a 4-part series of groups called Goddess Essence. And I also have Goddess Essence teacher training. So I'm helping women, first of all, to accept themselves, to learn what is feminine power, how to implement that in your life and also in your intimacy. And I have another series of groups which is called Shivoham. It's for men. I'm not teaching that one. I just designed those groups. I taught it to some men in my team and they are teaching it. But it's also to help men understand, who am I, the divine masculine? How can I live and breathe my essential nature and enjoy it, accept it, enjoy it, and also be in brotherhood with other men. This is so amazing.
I love it. How would you explain, in the most, I don't know, simple way that it comes, what is goddess essence? And what is the difference of only goddess essence with divine feminine? I know they're connected, but what are those differences between them?
Goddess essence, it helps women to understand that we are the goddess. In India, there's a very beautiful way of expressing that all the phases of the moon have their own goddess. So that's showing us that we have a wide range of goddess aspects, which are basically aligned to the moon, to our cycle. And we can come to understand that very deeply and to help ourselves live and breathe in all of these different aspects of who we are as women. Now, I teach that through what I call the goddess portals. That means the positive polarities in the chakra system. So through this, women learn what is my power as a woman. Instead of trying to copy men and be like men, we copy ourselves as women, and we start understanding what is it to be an empowered woman, which is the same as the divine feminine. Yeah.
Would you say, for example, that is goddess essence something that you access, or is it something that you stop blocking? That you already have your birthright and you're just stopping, you just stop blocking it?
Yes, it's already your birthright. It's within every woman. It's very natural and very easy to access. So some women might think, oh, I'll have to work hard for that. No, I see in every group, it takes almost no time for women to access this. As soon as they're given permission, then they can flower into it.
And permission from who? From themselves?
Permission through the divine feminine. So I'm creating a milieu in the groups where the women can tap into feminine power. And so through that, they just given permission to live that. And I also have 2 online courses where women can go into that process. Yeah.
When a woman first starts coming with you, and for example, let's say in the end of those, I know you have some like 6-month workshops, no? Or some courses that are long. What difference have you seen in those women when they start working the divine feminine, their goddess essence? How their life, their body, their character, their energy changed when they left?
Everything changes. Many times they start flowering in their profession in ways they didn't imagine could be possible.
That they thought that they only flourished with the masculine, no?
Yes. So they find out how to be empowered as a woman and how to bring that into the workplace. And many times they're then inspired to start their own new business because they feel so empowered to be themselves. They also begin loving their bodies, loving what it is to be in a woman's body, really appreciating that, and also appreciating other women as sisters, really feeling the sister connection.
The sisterhood and not the competition.
Yes, because competition is actually a masculine construct. It's one of the aspects of testosterone. And somehow the patriarchy had given women the idea that they have to be in competition, but it's not true. Because if you think about it, we are like many rivers, many streams flowing into one river, and that river flows into an ocean of bliss. So this is our nature, to combine our sacred waters as one flow. We are designed by nature like that because we are yin. Yin is a watery element. So when women learn this, automatically they will shift and change how they see other women. It happens so easily, so naturally. The love starts flowing.
That's beautiful. And how do you explain or express what the goddess essence feels in the body?
In the body, it's helping us to access our full inner ecstasy. Let's just take sexuality as an example. A woman can never be fully in a state of fulfillment unless her lower belly, her heart chakra, and her third eye center are all linked up. That opens to a full experience of her sexuality. If she's only experiencing her sexuality in the sex center, for example, that will be tremendously unfulfilling. It needs to link up to the lower belly, heart, and third eye to be deeply fulfilling. And this is because our clitoral network is linked not only to our sexuality, but it has nerves that link up to the breasts, to the third eye, and to higher consciousness states. The woman's orgasm, if it's a full body orgasm, reaches all the way to the higher brain centers. She gets DMT release. Her rational brain completely shuts down in those moments of inner ecstasy, and she's accessing higher dimensional energies. And this is very different than it is for the masculine. So women, if they don't know that potential, they will never feel fulfilled because they always sense something's missing. The moment we link all that up, suddenly she can flower. Psychedelic colors, you name it.
Fireworks.
Yeah, fireworks, basically. Yeah, that's it.
I love it. And is it in the Tantra the same as in Tao, where men can access those fireworks or that ecstatic bliss through the women?
They can.
Or how in Tantra men can access that?
So the thing is that by nature, the man's orgasm experience usually reaches only to the reptile brain. That's the lower brain center. And his rational mind never shuts down. It remains present even in orgasm to a certain extent. Probably nature made it that way because he has to protect the feminine. When they're making love, maybe some tiger or bear would come, so he has to protect. So nature made him always a little bit aware, no matter what the situation.
Yeah.
So if he wants to access the same inner ecstasy states, like a woman, multiple orgasm, full body orgasm, accessing DMT release, etc., he needs to go through a special training for that. He needs to make sure his central channel is open, that he learns snaking and undulating rather than, how would we call it, pushing or thrusting.
Interesting.
So he needs to learn how to use his energy in a particular way, bring the energy in and up instead of down and out. And slowly he can cultivate his potential for full body orgasm and complete inner ecstasy. But it does take training. With a woman, it's given by nature. With a man, training is needed. Yeah.
So women, it's only like opening the door.
Just opening the door, giving permission to yourself. Cultivating also your ability to open the third eye, because that is a positive polarity for women. And that has been repressed for centuries due to the Inquisition and the burning of women at the stake. That went deep into the collective psyche of the feminine. So she became very afraid of accessing her clairvoyant potential, even though it is absolutely part of our birthright. So we have to decondition around that, and then we can access it very easily.
I like that. I wanted to ask you about how does the nervous system needs to change to hold this power? So when women open the door towards that goddess essence or that ecstatic bliss, how does the nervous system needs to open space to be able to hold that?
This is a very important question. The key is in conscious emotional fluidity, because this lower belly is a power center for women. It's a goddess portal. Here are contained the portals of birth and death, and also all emotional states. The woman is naturally very alive to emotions. If we don't learn conscious emotional fluidity, we might just be like a pipe that's burst open, leaking water all over the place. So we need to find out how to release our emotions in a conscious way. This is very important. So for that, we have many different methods of conscious emotional fluidity that women can practice. Once they open that channel and they're aware how to do that, then they can open their inner ecstasy potential very easily, very naturally. Yeah.
I love that. What does a woman need to remember? And what does she need to let loose to access that power or that birthright?
She needs to remember her nature as a priestess, as a goddess, as the divine feminine. So that she needs to remember. She needs to awaken in herself love, her potential to love not only herself, but also another in deep intimacy, her love of the whole, and ultimately becoming love itself. And she needs to access conscious emotional fluidity. And also, she needs to access her birthright for profound orgasmic ecstasy, to allow that to be present within herself.
Beautiful. And I think this, all of these, it's something that right now we're starting to talk a lot more about, right? Back in the day, maybe it was hiding, but nowadays there's, online information, there's books, there's, we're just waiting for, women to access that because
Yes.
it's the gift, it's already outside. Maybe 15 years ago, it was a different story, but nowadays,
Yes,
it's
it's
there.
open, it's available. Every woman can find her way into some kind of woman's circle where she can start tapping into her fuller potential. And of course, there's also online courses that she can take. There's many, many of those. And I have also online courses which will help women to access that, even in the privacy of her own home.
If you could share with us, and I know it's a difficult question to ask, but if you could share with us your top 3 courses that you recommend, for example, for couples, for women, and for men,
Yes.
which would be your top recommendation?
You mean as an in-person courses or online courses?
Online or in person?
Okay.
Just for the people who are listening right now, maybe you have many options, and it would be best like, okay, this is like the masterpiece.
So I think Master Lover is really valuable because here you're learning about sexuality according to tantric principles. And this is valuable because our education system doesn't cover anything about sexuality, basically. People learn about sexuality from porn, which is not a good way to learn.
It's not a good source,
It's
period.
exactly the opposite of what is needed, actually.
Exactly.
So it's better to find out a good education about sexuality, even if you're already grown up, you're already having sex, doesn't matter. In my experience, many people, they don't know, but they pretend to know because they don't want to feel embarrassed that they don't know. So this is the point. And also, I have an online course which is about massage. So it's 7 chakra massage, 1 massage for every chakra. This is a beautiful journey that people can take either as a couple or you could do the practice with a friend. It's perfectly fine. And so these 2 courses I would really recommend. And then, of course, if you're a woman working on your own, you can take the Goddess Essence Part 1 and Part 2 online. Now, if you're coming to in-person courses, there's different possibilities. One that I really love, it's very dear to my heart, is the Soulmate series. It's 7 levels for couples to evolve on their spiritual path at the same time that they're deeply nurturing their intimacy and their relationship. So it's really very, very powerful. I have the Goddess Essence series for women, the Shivoham series for men. And there also is an in-person mystic Tantra massage course. It's actually a practitioner training. But the fact is, during that course, you're exchanging massage. And so you're doing receiving and giving 2 hours of massage, receiving 2 hours of massage, giving every day. So this is absolutely sublime. It's really wonderful. And of course, I also have a Vigyan Bhairav Tantra retreat. This is one of my favorites. It's working with 112 methods of a scripture, which is called the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, 5,000-year-old scripture. So we go into these methods experientially. It's
Nice.
It's more esoteric in its nature. So people who are interested in Tantra as a spiritual path, it's really great.
It's great for them. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing, Sarita. Thank you. 2 more questions about the goddess essence. Do you think the goddess essence is here to heal or to dismantle?
It's dismantling our patriarchal view of what it is to be a woman, and it's nurturing what is already the potential that's already within us to become a truly empowered woman on all levels. Yeah.
And when a woman starts working towards discovering or accessing this goddess essence, what do you think changes in their relationship to men? How does change the way women relate to men when they start working with the goddess essence?
This is a very important question. Now, to envision the change, just imagine 2 magnets. If you put 2 positive polarities of the magnet together, they can't meet.
Yeah.
Now, this is what has happened to women because we have gone into an idea that in order to be powerful, we have to be like men. So we
Masculinize
become like a positive pole of the magnet. The man also, they can't meet. And this is leading to a breakdown in human relations. So when we learn the goddess essence, we learn how to become opposite polarity to the man. So you have a receptive polarity, a positive polarity. They're drawn together. They really want to meet. There's a strong chemistry that's created. So the woman learns how to tune to her inner nature as that polarity that is needed to synchronize with a man, to come together with a man. And this is an incredible breakthrough when it happens.
Of course.
Yeah.
And what happens with desire?
With desire.
Desire in that sense. Do the woman becomes more desirable because those polarities are set in place?
Much more.
It expands desire?
Yes, she becomes much more desirable, and she feels also at ease in her skin. She feels at ease in her body of being woman and appreciative of her feminine attributes. We somehow got the idea that the woman is weak, the weaker sex. This is absolutely untrue. If you go to a saying from Lao Tzu, from the Tao Te Ching, he says, yin is like water, yang is like rock. Water wears away rock. So this is a very delicate way of saying the feminine is actually the stronger gender. He doesn't say it directly, he says it in a poetic way. But this is what he's indicating. And because women have forgotten our own powerful nature, then we think of ourselves as the underdog, which is absolutely untrue.
That's what society has tried to help us believe.
Yeah.
And why is often radical feminine invisible? Is it part that invisibility? Is it part of the feminine energy? For example, you have the sexual organs, right? The feminine sexual organs are kind of invisible. They go inward,
Hidden,
not hidden, and the masculine organs are visible, are out in the world. No. Do you think it's part of that feminine essence, or it's just a misconception that we have culturally?
Now, if you think about it, there's actually a tremendous balance in that. So in the first chakra, the sex center, the man's organ is outward going, the woman receptive. In the second chakra, the woman is the positive polarity. She's giving the gift, man is receiving. Third chakra, man is giving the gift, woman is receiving. Fourth chakra, it's very obvious. We are nurturing, we're giving, the man is receiving. Fifth chakra, the man's Adam apple even sticks out more. He's giving, she's receiving. Sixth chakra, Woman is giving, man is receiving. So you see, man and woman are fitting together like lock and key. There's no imbalance there. It's completely balanced. It's just opposite polarities meeting on all levels. Seventh chakra is beyond duality. So here, the male and the female become one. It's actually an exquisitely balanced system between the masculine and the feminine. If we only focus on the sex center, then we could think, oh, the woman is just receiving and so she's less powerful at whatever. No, that's absolutely untrue. It all balances out.
Yeah.
We just have to become aware of our different power centers and how to work with that in tune with the masculine.
I love your response. And from all the women that you worked with, when they access this feminine energy, does it arrive quietly or loudly?
Both. Yeah. Women need to find their voice. This is very important. I always remember Osho saying that when a woman is in orgasm, she might be screaming, laughing, praying, singing. We don't know what will happen. We have to be ready for anything. And so when women find their voice, so much more energy, power, potential, and ecstasy becomes available.
I want to imagine for a little bit, Sarita, together. Imagine that you are the Ministry of Pleasure of a country or of the world or whatever, okay? You have that new job for you. I want to ask you, what are the things that you would start implementing immediately in all the different systems, in the education system, in the health system, in the cultural system, in the religion system? What would be urgent to start happening right now?
A very profound awareness and enactment of the five senses. Because the five senses are our doors to experience ourselves on all levels. In Ayurveda, they use five sense medicine. Also in Chinese medicine, these are two ancient medical systems. And they find that the human body can only come into balance and wellness if we apply five sense experience of our bodies. Also, we need to be very aware of yin and yang principles within ourselves and with the other and in the world around us. So implementing this kind of awareness into education system, into government, everywhere, this will be very, very powerful shift. Also, we need to bring online meditation. Now people practice what is called mindfulness. It's basically meditation, but they don't want to use the word meditation, but it is basically the practice of meditation. It just means bringing a witnessing consciousness to whatever you are involved in or whatever you are thinking. You're bringing that witnessing consciousness there. That will expand your potential in all dimensions of being. So bringing this in from the earliest age into all aspects of our society will make a very dramatic change. Now in Tantra, we don't stop there. We bring together the witnessing consciousness, which is basically the path of the masculine, and love and devotion, which is the path of the feminine. When you weave these together, you have Tantra. So bringing equal understanding and education around the masculine and the feminine principles, you will start seeing a huge change. One of my pet peeves is to see in, I guess, every city of the world, they have these conical pillars, which is, of course, a phallic symbol. But there is no feminine around it. In India, in India, they have what is called the Shiva Linga. It's a phallic symbol, but it's always sitting within a yoni, within the feminine principle. So that brings balance to the society when you have that concept. Here in our society, we only say the phallus is all powerful. So around every conical pillar in every city, I hope activists will start demanding there has to be a yoni around that so that we have the balance of the masculine and the feminine. Very important.
Very important to have that balance. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this. I want to ask you about, what do you see in the near future? With sexuality has been evolving the past years, right? There's a lot of conversations, or it's more open to talk about sex, to talk about intimacy, to talk about maybe these things that they used to be taboo. And I know that specifically in several cultures, countries, or social groups, there's still a taboo. What do you see in the near future that's going to happen with the way we connect with sexuality and the way we have these conversations and this, study and research of these important themes?
So having forums like this podcast or getting like groups of people together to talk about it, having conferences where people who are very educated around the subject can start presenting their findings, whether that is scientists, because there has been a lot of research done about human sexuality, but it's somehow hard to access all these findings. There's a wonderful book which is called Vagina, A New Biography by Naomi Wolf. If more people could read this, oh my God, what a change it would make in the world. So like making all these things available more easily would be really great across all cultures in a way that many people can tap into. And I think that takes collaboration between tantric people, between educators, and between scientists also. Then we can start making all this information more widely available. It's my sincere desire that I can be instrumental in some way to help our whole society evolve to the next level. And that's not only including sexuality, but from sex to spirit.
From sex to spirit.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. What do you think is, or what truth about being human do you think it's still hard for people to accept?
It's because we're afraid of our animal instinctual nature. We don't understand it. We've been repressing it for so long that we feel very afraid of it. So we need to go into that instinctual nature with intelligence, with awareness. So that's why I say emphasize meditation.
Yes.
Because through meditation and witnessing consciousness, you can shine that light of awareness into the most dense aspects of the human being. We have these three aspects of our brain: the reptilian brain, the animal or the animal brain, and the human brain. And people are generally afraid of the reptilian brain. We think that's something very dark, very unconscious.
Out of control, maybe.
Out of control, might lead to crime, like all this kind of thoughts are there about it. But if we bring the light of awareness into these most dense aspects, we will evolve beyond what we could possibly conceive as human beings. This is really an important key that needs to be understood. In my vision, human beings will only feel completely fulfilled and will have attained their purpose on earth if we can shine the light of awareness and bring that quality of divinity into our most dense aspects, where we become walking divinity in all that we are. This is very important.
Of course, if we become walking divinity, then imagine the world that we would be living in.
Yes,
right?
we would live paradise on earth.
Yes.
You can see through nature that we have every potential to live in a paradise on earth. So why are we not doing that? We stupid or what? Like what the F?
That is our birthright. No? It's just different maybe systems that got in the way.
I think we're meant to be the wise custodians of our natural world. This is what we were placed on this earth to be. But we got somehow diverted from that. And we need to bring that back.
To remember it.
Remember. Because there are cultures who are living in that way. And we ignore in those cultures. Take the Kogi of Colombia, for example. They're absolutely phenomenal. The wisest people on this earth at this time, this is my understanding, they have so much to teach us.
And we've had, many of those indigenous communities that have so much wisdom
Yes.
around consciousness, around presence, around sexuality. No, there's actually this community in north of Rwanda, maybe you know about them, that it's a matriarchy, and they teach young girls, the rite of passage for young girls when they're maybe 13, 14, is to learn to ejaculate.
Yes,
And they have
to have
found-
the feminine ejaculation,
Exactly.
which is called amrita, that means nectar. And I saw a film about it. It's really, really fascinating.
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 And they found that most of the girls in the community, most of the women in the community, I don't remember exactly I think it's like 93 or 94% of the girls in the community, they were able to ejaculate.
Yes.
And those numbers in Western world is completely different. It's maybe
Yes.
between 15 to 18% of women that can ejaculate, and the rest, they think they're not able. So the question arises, is it really they're not able, or is it something culturally
It's
that's preventing
cultural,
them? No?
and also it's because the men go through a special training to learn how to activate this in the women. So from puberty onwards, they're learning the methodology. I have a friend who's expert in that because he went to Rwanda to learn it.
Nice.
So he apprenticed, he learned, and he actually was telling me about this. I was so fascinated. It's absolutely incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Maybe it could be something else for the Ministry of Pleasure that you could add.
Definitely. Absolutely, 100%.
Amazing, Sarita. To close, is there anything that would be like really crucial that we haven't covered in this episode that would be really important to share with whoever is listening to us right now?
Just remember always that your birthright is to know bliss, body and soul. And that you have as your birthright to move from sex to superconsciousness. You can activate this, you can discover this very easy through authentic Tantra, through meditation, and by going on that inner journey to find the fullness of your potential. And it's my joy to be of service for that. And I know that I'm joined by many other people in the world who are doing their part to bring about this amazing transformation which is possible for every human being.
Amazing, Sarita. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. Before we close, I just want to ask you 10 quick questions. They're fire questions. The idea is to answer something short, one word, whatever comes to mind. For you, what is the ability to create?
We are all God, goddess. And so if we align ourselves to nature, we can achieve this.
What emotions do you experience when you're creating?
Joy and love.
What feeds your soul?
Tantra.
One of your favorite authors?
Osho.
One of the best books you've ever read?
Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, which by Osho it's called Book of Secrets.
An advice for someone that's looking for their inner fire?
Live your passion.
One of the most urgent problems for humanity?
The equal understanding of the masculine and the feminine.
If human beings were able to agree on only one thing, what would it be?
We are love.
What experience changed your life?
Discovering Osho, my spiritual master.
Now, how do you defend your right to create?
Through my passionate inquiry.
Amazing, Sarita. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your experience, your wisdom. All of the people that you've worked with around the world. It's enriching and really nourishing to listen to all the knowledge and wisdom that you have to share. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been
pleasure.
a great joy to have this conversation.
My
Love and
pleasure.
blessings.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for you that you listened to this episode. We invite you to subscribe and to follow us. We're in all the platforms. And please, if you have any questions or any comments for Sarita or myself, we would love to read them. Thank you so much for being here and for connecting with this space.